Generally accepted that we were dealing with aliens, and my argument has always been, well, where are they? Where are they hanging out? Hang on a minute, we don't know now how to explain to the public what this phenomena is, because if they really knew the truth of this, it would just go AWOL.
The true phenomena goes back into our prehistory, and I'm talking hundreds of thousands of years. There's always been that interaction with humanity through our development, for the better and sometimes for the worse. What we're seeing today more than ever is this deceptive nature that has crept in, and a lot of the technology which is man-made being portrayed as being something else.
If we go back to the 1970s, 80s, 90s, it was all generally accepted that we were dealing with aliens. And my argument has always been, well, where are they? Where are they hanging out? And the other thing that is really very strange, and I think all ufologists and researchers clocked this, was when the news media started to report UAPs, and that changed from unidentified flying object to unidentified aerial phenomena. And that was very strange. And I think that the system that we serve, or at least the higher establishments, could well be aware of what we're really dealing with. And now we have a programmed public that they're going to say, hang on a minute, we don't know now how to explain to the public what this phenomena is, because if they really knew the truth of this, it would just go AWOL.
The use of language is very, very descriptive and deceptive in its own right. You know, you've got these people a year ago, 2 years ago, who were coming across in their fighter jets, seeing these UAPs. Now, what exactly was a UAP? I'm no scientist, but I know a damn balloon when I see one. So why are we not calling it a balloon? Instead, the language was altered to UAP. That is insidious.
It's rather like a huge jigsaw puzzle. And we were trying to put all the pieces together to form some kind of picture. This thing keeps muddying it. But we're trying to put a picture together. And you know what? I think we're winning very slowly. As smart as it is, as clever as it is, we are slowly forming some kind of weak image. And I think with new people on the block, new kids on the block, it can only get stronger.
The thinking nowadays, especially within ufology and even evangelicalism, is it's so binary. It's either or. And unfortunately, the phenomenon we're dealing with, it's much larger. And anybody with a cursory knowledge of this intelligence knows it's eclipsing all of those models. It's pushing us into corners where we are forced to think outside of the intellectual coffin we've been boxed in. Let me suggest this, that in believing in the mask, we empower the intelligence that's wearing it.
Don't tell me they just started seeing UFOs last week because the Navy allowed them to report it. They've been seeing this stuff forever.
This will entail huge psychological and emotional issues and problems if you were to tell the public, look, we've lied to you about UFOs. We've pushed forward this narrative that they're coming from another planet, that it's all love and light, but the reality is very, very different. And this will also, and I do understand with those people who have their religious infrastructures or their religious ideologies that will be questionable at that stage. And I think and feel that, you know, we have been right. I feel that we're right. I really do, because through my own personal experience tells me that we're not dealing with Venetians or Martians or those from Zeta Reticuli. No, we're dealing with a force that is very clever and knows us more than we know ourselves.
The question implies that the model we have is currently working. Now, with the implications we've noticed within the occult manifesting itself and overshadowing ufology, it brings into question the current model. If the model itself is wrong, then our timeline is wrong as well.
Homo sapiens sapien on Earth has been plagued unmercifully, manipulated unmercifully. We are this divided, warring species because of manipulations by something that is trying to accomplish something in all of this experimentation on Earth.
The alien functions like an intelligence agency. when we needed a cover story for something, a lie, we just told it. We'd tell the best one what you needed to hear. And it made us really look good. And the fact is, if that didn't work, we just tell another one and another one. Look, anytime as a former police officer, I see a body laying on the floor with a knife sticking out of it, and there's 8 witnesses there, and I ask you who did it, what happened, and all of you give me a different story, you're all going downtown. Every one of you. Why is that significant? That metaphor carries over to the UFO world. Every country I go to, Ireland, doesn't make a bit of difference. The little wee fairy folk, well, if you don't do right, they may not bring you back. You know, it doesn't matter where you go. I go to Istanbul, Turkey, and I'm on the airplane talking to the guy and says, well, that's fascinating stuff, but we don't have stuff like that here. I said, yes, you do. No, we don't. Yes, you do. No, we don't. I said, what about the jinn? We don't talk about them. You've got 8 different stories told to 8 different nations. We still got the body on the floor, and now I'm getting 8 different stories. Why do I think somebody's lying to me?
Imagine intelligence that can fabricate reality. And I say that with intention. The paradox of language we have to employ when describing this phenomenon. It's not an accident. We don't even have the vocabulary to articulate what is occurring. And what draws my attention to this is so fascinating as well is all of these events are seemingly supernatural. And we know they're supernatural because they are supernatural. They transcend that microcosm. But what about these supernatural events that are appearing as natural to us, where the phenomenon is hiding in places we didn't know it was hiding in? People doing things, committing things, and believing. All of this, it's intertwined. And so there is an ontological connection between us and it.
So from my perspective, we always had this connection. And again, I was seeing this cross-migration of details from one particular phenomena into another field. And then I was finding it in another field, and then another field. So again, looking at this umbrella term and this umbrella situation, I was able to see, wait a minute, and create this hypothesis, which others have arrived at as well, in seeing this is coming from the same source. So from that particular perspective, I wanted to accelerate further and see, right, let's follow the line, let's follow the data. What is there in history that is giving us some suggestions here of what to follow? And I started tracking that line, and to the point where I believe we may have identified the source.
The model we're operating off of now suggests that disclosure will come to in the future. It will just arrive. And with the emergence of esotericism in building altars in New Mexico, that model implies that disclosure could be wrong in terms of it's in the future. What if disclosure occurred in the past, and because we misunderstood it, it didn't fit our blueprint? For some reason, this is a strange model, but the results and the evidence absolutely suggest this, that there is an intimate connection with building altars, ritual magic, and whatever these entities are. And I'm not even talking about the mask. The problem with the model that I inherited, even with secular ufology, evangelical, all of that combined, is we did not anticipate our rules to only have applied to the mask itself.
We wanted to break apart those encounters, analyze them, and see what was going on. We do have a lot of stories that people will tell us of their encounters, and those stories have value, but they're not everything. But within those particular stories, there tends to be key points of data which are unique. But we're able to take those aspects of those encounters, and we can see those aspects trail all the way back through history. They remain the same. The mask in which it interacts with us always changes, but the phenomena remains the same.
We are now forced to look more into what we represent, because this energy, this consciousness, this awareness is more aware of what we are than we are ourselves. I mean, let's consider the fact we don't even really know our true genus. Everything is okay if it lies within the annals of faith or hope, or the cold, rational, scientific explanation about how it all happened. There are two parts which the system wants us to embrace, but not when it comes to the reality of the situation. It runs. It doesn't want to talk.
You see, even back through, if we go back through history and look at the broader picture again, we can see this aspect of the way the gods interacted with us. We had to follow the gods' word, the gods' advice to the letter. Otherwise, we were banished to the winds. And the same phenomena can be seen within ufology, with the entities that are coming through ufology. They're here for the betterment of the human race and the world. Let's get this straight. They couldn't really give a damn about humanity. It's the planet that they're interested in, because they're already here.
The current model is they're seeding us with technology itself. That only works within the materialistic ufology. What if they're seeding us with the incantations first and the technology came second? That in itself would implicate something more existential, ontological, and symbiotic, where they are not us, but they need us to be them. And that's a very interesting take on it. But there's a reason why they give us the illusion of power. Feed us, and I said this in a previous lecture, where they realized that in order to conjure us, they realized they had to appear as the one being conjured. And it's that illusion of control that a lot of people buy into. This is the byproduct of an entity that would diversify itself. And in many cases, it would lean into archetypes that fit our worldview. There are times where the phenomenon would put on that mask and play the role of the demon. Oh, the holy water works. Until suddenly, out of nowhere, the pathology mutates and that proto-intelligence steps out of the mask, makes eye contact with us as a species. And only then do we realize, wait a minute, there were laws and rules they were playing by. We were ignorant of. And there seems to be a control mechanism of perception management employed.
The aspect of demonology is simply another mask. It's another mask of the phenomena that lies behind that. And that's something that we need to step forward to the line and identify the masks, but be prepared to move them out of the way to examine what's behind the curtain. And that is where the value in what we're doing today comes into effect, because we're getting people now not to accept the initial details that are being delivered, whether through seance or through an encounter with an alien, alleged alien, or whatever the case may be. We're now saying, and we're setting some ground rules for folks who are investigating to say, don't accept the first thing, challenge it. Because if something is there for your benefit, it's not going to mind a few questions for clarity. What we tend to see with the phenomena, though, is that there's a deceptive edge to it. And when you do question it, you go, excuse me, like Columbo, one more thing, that the phenomena backs off immediately. It does not want to answer that. It does not want to be discovered.
Number one, we have to study it with the ability to embrace any and all dark aspects. That's the very first step to this. Now, to answer your question specifically, we don't even know the rules they're playing by. We don't know the game they're playing. And in many cases, they'll tell us to do a certain thing or to do a certain... For instance, scientists we both know of, out in the middle of the New Mexico desert, building altars of uncut stone, literally designed for not just magic, not just ritual magic, but sacrifices. Now, there's only two possibilities. He doesn't know why he's doing it, or he does. See, in the 16th century, where we were early demonologists, we're still trying to determine what these things were. Why can they appear as deceased loved ones? Are they horns and hooves in entirety? Or, is there some kind of other category they don't fit? When that happened, the Vatican took authority over it and just pretty much dominated the entire field of demonology. This is what it is. It's institutionalized. Anything outside of that blueprint doesn't exist. And then yet it's antithetical to the earliest demonology that was being done. Father Sinistro Avamino was throwing amulets and holy water on a pagan demon, wondering why his model wasn't working. Then he called it a pagan demon, which is a paradox. But what we're witnessing again is these current models, both in history and today in modernity, they're failing because we've compartmentalized in my opinion, a singular intelligence. And when we compartmentalize and denominate a singular intelligence, it gives it an easier way to mask itself.
A lot of the interaction that we have been led to believe that it is the aliens, it is the ghosts, it is the jinn, etc., 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 when in reality, it's not. It's not where we thought it comes from, nor, and this is very important, nor is it our ancestors. I think there's great value in analyzing an encounter that someone may have with whatever appearance that it should take. Its valuation becomes exceptionally important within the first 20 seconds. And that is a rule that I've set out. I said that the 20-second rule, that is exceptionally important to understand. Within those 20 seconds, we are given the information as to what the nature of this phenomena is. And if we refuse to see that, if we refuse to acknowledge that, hear it, or feel it, then we're lost to it. So, and what tends to happen is that this phenomenon, when it appears, it will appear as a bright light. It will use whatever is necessary to capture that conscious connection. The moment that is hooked, we have lost the battle.
With the help of many other people, I saw the phenomena beyond what we've been sold, what we've been told. The last experience was 9th of April 2016 at precisely 11:15 p.m. at night. After that, there was no more. Through the acknowledgement of what we may be dealing with, it's as if, like I do joke and say, perhaps me and my twin brother were, to them, washed out old has-beens, or that an acknowledgement that we've kind of clocked what's going on. And it's like, well, the game's over. We need to remove ourselves away from them because we need to attach to someone else. But certainly I felt beforehand that, wow, I'm connected with aliens from another planet. They're interested in me. And it's like this dimension of opening of other areas of the psyche, of consciousness, of life after death was really prevalent and something that still pushes me. But perhaps the phenomena was feeding off of that as well.
I think it is very, very deceptive. This force is not only universal, but the manner in which it can hide itself behind is infinite, I believe. It's very infinite. And I, myself, how I reached that own conclusion was through, perhaps in the past, looking at the greys themselves. And the people telling me when I drew them or illustrated them, they would say, that's not how they looked. Oh, so they differ again and again and again. So we have different shapes, different sizes. And not just that, but the fairies. A ufologist told me that his mother met a fairy once and she gave her this bottle of elixir. She told her to drink it. And if she drank this bottle of liquid, she'd never get ill. If she drank it, she never got ill. That's not a fairy. But in the past, people would have believed it. I would have believed it when I was younger.
Yeah.
Because my grandma talked about fairies, and I think she was covering it for something else. Our ancestors are much wiser than we give them credit, I think.
If you like this video and you want to see more amazing content, go ahead and check out the next video on our channel.